So the Inside Out Prison Exchange Program was started in 1997, and since then it's grown into a network of over 800 instructors across the United States. It brings traditional college students and incarcerated students together in jails and prisons for semester-long courses.
We kind of all went into it, I think, thinking that we care about this, thinking that this was one of our passions. I know for me, criminal justice reform and abolition and prison abolition is a big part of my social justice work. And I went in there thinking like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. And I left like, I had no idea.
I remember the first day we were there, we were the first ones to get there. We were waiting for the inside students to come in the room. And it wasn't until, I had kind of like went into the class. It was kind of a flurry of activity for the first couple weeks to get things in, my background check and things in to get in there. And so I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just thinking, of course I want to do this. Like, this seems really cool to have this different kind of experience. And I wasn't thinking until everybody was looking at the door waiting for the inside students to get in. And it was kind of at that moment where I was like, what am I about to experience? Like, like, who's going to come through this door? And the first activity we did was I think it was called the wagon wheel, where we do a 30-second question, then you move so you can get to know everybody a little bit. And I remember someone sat down next to me and immediately addressed that thought of, what the hell were you thinking, Brian? Like when you were doing this? And I was like, I didn't think about it until about 10 seconds ago.
Well, we talked about like the racial makeup of the class and just the anticipation of like entering a prison. It's just like when we first got there, we were all kind of walking on eggshells, I think. And we were studying apartheid, and finally this guy in our class goes like, we just have to put it out there like that this is a class of like mostly African American males and mostly from the outside mostly white females. And it was just like one of those things that like was sitting in the air. Just no one was really addressing, which really needed to be addressed, and it kind of just like broke the ice. And we could all like there are certain moments, certain assignments, and that's like the first one where like our class just got a little closer, a little more comfortable.
Like, I always wanted to go into politics and be one of those like political people. Still going to law school, but I kind of reoriented myself since that class, and because I don't want to be another one of those people that just talks around the problem.
So what have you taken away from the experience?
I think personally for me, like, it's helped me, and I think it will continue to help me as I further my education and deciding whether I'm going into education myself. Like, specifically this semester, I'm interning at Brashear High School, which is very like a diverse high school, but it's predominantly African American, and a lot of the students there have parents who are incarcerated. And so half of the things that I do there, like, it's not just, tutoring or helping them with their homework, it's mentoring. Like, I was talking to them about like why their dad is in prison or how to deal with that. And the Inside Out class, really prepared me to deal with that.
Like, I think it was definitely a special group of people, but I think it was also just that everybody kind of like let themselves like talk to each other and let themselves be vulnerable, and there was just like a environment of trust that just allowed for relationships to be built.
What did you enjoy most about the course?
I think for me personally, it was the camaraderie, not only between the outside and the inside students, but between the outside students.
One thing I think that can get lost in our conversations about this is how much I enjoyed like the course material. I think that this experience is so radically different than everything else that we have experienced at Pitt, that we sort of feel the need to be like, oh, and this happened in the prison and all of these things. But like, we read some good plays and we had some good assignments. So I think that's something like it wasn't just a bunch of Pitt students going and hanging out in a room for 2 hours every week. It was a college class, and it was a rigorous college class that we did things like, I did do creative writing for the first time in my college career, and it was awful. And the inside students were so much better than me because they're all like poets for some reason. But yeah, no, so I enjoyed Shalini as a professor, and I enjoyed the class in general.
I actually took a class with Dr. Puri before this one, and I read a play called Master Harold and the Boys, and then we read it again in this class. But my reading of it just completely changed because, as Alexa said, it is autobiographical, and that's disturbing and really heartbreaking anyway. But hearing the inside students had a very different reaction to it because they had different experiences, and they saw injustice in it that I hadn't seen quite in the same way, and it made me really question what the role of literature should be and what the responsibility of the author is.
I'd say on the part of like education that I can control, like as opposed to like how a class is structured or how a teacher presents information, like I'd say that, you know, you can get by in some classes without doing all the readings. With, you know, I mean, you shouldn't, but you can. And like this class, like I put my all in, right? And I saw what education is when I give my all to something, when I do all the reading, when I do all the assignments. So like the first, like it's a better experience.
About half the class was, you know, all in, like, let's talk about this. This is an unfair system. Like, let's talk about prison wage slavery. Let's talk about all of these things. And one half of the class didn't want to at all. And our one friend Mike said that these hours each week are the only time that we feel human. That I feel like I'm talking to someone who sees me as a person and not a prisoner.